Hi, welcome in. I'm Muskan, and I'm part of the team at Saral, the influencer operating system for e-commerce brands. We host these sessions pretty regularly, and the goal is very simple: bring in some top operators and experts from e-commerce ecosystem, and have them share their insights, their frameworks, their playbooks. And honestly, this is not stuff that you can just Google or ask ChatGPT. And that is the goal today as well. Very excited. Before I introduce our expert speaker for today's session, I have a very quick question for everybody in the audience, and would love for everybody to be candid and honest about it. But if you're running an influencer campaign, how are you leveraging the content that you get for your brand? Um, are you maybe repurposing them for ads or putting them on your website or your retail stores? Yeah, would love for everybody to just chime in the chat. TikTok Shop, love that. I think we're gonna discuss TikTok Shop today in detail, so that's awesome to see. All right, okay. I think that is exactly why we're here today. Creator content is quickly becoming the engine behind some of the fastest growing brands and how they run their commerce stack. But then there are some brands who are barely scratching the surface. So today we have Dan Albert. He's the CEO and co-founder of 46. With over a decade of experience in influencer and creative marketing, Dan has really seen the evolution of this channel very closely. And what makes his perspective genuinely different and compelling is he's on the both sides of the marketplace, right? With 4 he's creating and running some of the biggest creative programs across the globe. And on the other side, he also manages creators with talent. And we're so thankful that he's here today to share his insights and frameworks. And yeah, I think I won't speak too much and I'll let Dan take over the floor. Quick housekeeping rules before we let Dan take over. We're going to record this session and we'll send you the recording as well. But I would highly recommend that you stay till the end. We have a dedicated Q&A session where we'll take your questions and answer them live. So stick around for that. And also we have some very interesting content coming up for you. So if you stay till the end, I think you'll find it worthwhile. So yes, won't take too much of time now. Dan, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Well, first off, I'm very excited to be here today, and I wanted to start off by thanking the Saral team for having me and putting this together. I know there's a lot of noise in the influencer and tech space right now. So the fact that you're all here today, taking the time to learn and what we say level up, I truly appreciate it. And today we're going to talk about something that I generally believe is one of the biggest shifts happening in commerce right now, and that is the creator commerce flywheel, right? The subject of today's conversation. Or said more simply, that is how creator programs, especially TikTok, are no longer just marketing channels, but how they're actually become the engine driving the growth across commerce ecosystems like Amazon and retail, DTC, and paid media. And I want to start with this. Most brands are still thinking about influencer marketing the same way they did 5 to 10 years ago, whether that's campaigns or one-off posts or tracking links or discount codes, and they're asking one simple question. Why isn't this working anymore? But that's what we're going to actually, discuss. And but what's actually happening under the surface is it's way bigger than most people realize. So a quick background on me, not to be repetitive, but I've been in this space for well over a decade. And I started in the early direct consumer boom, working with brands like Thrive Market, Fab for Fun, Movement, Home Chef, Care Vitamins, Smile Direct Club. Back when influencer marketing was still very much pay a creator and hope it drives sales. And honestly, at that time in history, we were all kind of guessing. We knew it worked, but we didn't really fully understand why it worked. So if we fast forward today, we want to talk about what's changed. And a few quick bullet points. We now have data across an entire ecosystem. We can see what happens in real time after the post goes live, and we can track how that content actually drives behavior across channels. So a little bit about 4 As was mentioned, we sit in a pretty unique position in the market. We build creator programs for brands across the e-commerce ecosystem at our agency For With Media, with our core service solutions being TikTok Shop, social commerce, I guess you would say, Amazon influencer marketing, direct consumer, and then retail, all with an underlying paid social element. At our sister agency For Growth Talent, we manage creators that we believe are the drivers of commerce activity. Both agencies service the same vision and mission, that creators are the drivers of commerce activity and the shapers of culture. And so we've focused on the harder tranche, which is bottom of the funnel KPIs. So what we're seeing from both sides of the table, what are brands thinking is happening, and what is actually driving GMV behind the scenes. And I can confidently say that our agency has been responsible for driving 500 million plus in annual GMV across commerce ecosystems. Now, here's a big takeaway before we even begin the slides. Influencer marketing is no longer a channel, it's becoming the infrastructure. And the brands that understand that shift are going to be primed to win over the next 2 to 3 years. And so I want to focus on really quickly the old influencer playbook. I want to break down today a few important things. What's actually changed in the market? How does TikTok fit into this? How are creator programs driving growth across your entire business funnel, not just one platform? And then we'll walk through the actual flywheel framework that we use with brands, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. So if you look at the slide up here, the old influencer playbook, let's start with how influencer marketing used to work. For years, it was a simple playbook. You'd hire a macro influencer where follower size was really the driving factor. They'd post once, you'd attach a discount code, and you'd try and track performance. And the expectation internally was that if we spend $1, how can we know that we're seeing a $3 or $4 return for every dollar spent? And if that didn't happen, the campaign didn't work. Now, the reality is much different. What we're consistently see in the creator content drives impact across multiple channels, and that TikTok at the current moment is leading to spikes in Amazon search. It's increasing retail sales velocity, and it's improving the performance for paid social media. And the challenge that most brands are facing is today is still measuring it through a last click lens. So on the slide, you can see a few problems with the old approach: high CPMs, one-day spikes, unpredictable performance, and little long tail value. Now, what's changed, right? We've shifted from a model built on what we call borrowed audiences and large followers to a model built on discovery. Now, with that said, in the past, your reach was determined by your audience size. Today, your reach is determined how your content performs in the algorithm. That means that the question is no longer how big is your audience, but it's, can this content find an audience? Can it find a home? Can it resonate with an end consumer? Creators now, most importantly, sit at the center of content, community, and commerce. Performance-driven influencer marketing and social commerce are not different. They're one and the same. So if we look at the new model, right, it's built on discovery. The algorithm determines reach. Some might say that's unpredictable and uncontrollable. One of the most important things to recognize is that it's always on and it's a continuous loop. It's not campaign-based or episodic, and that content finds an audience versus how big is the audience, and the quality of that content drives distribution. Now, as we mentioned at the same time, they're converging together, influencer marketing and social commerce. And influencer marketing traditionally was about awareness and storytelling, and social commerce is about driving conversion and sales. And today those worlds are colliding, and the creators are no longer just brand storytellers, they're also sales drivers. In the past, the awareness and conversion were handled separately. Now one piece of content can do both, and a single video can, this is really important, can drive discovery, it can build trust and convert a sale all at once. And that's the fundamental shift of how marketing is working in today's modern landscape. You can take a look at the slide up here, and we'll show, you can see a cross examination between the dimensional differences between influencer marketing and social commerce. Now, there are three major shifts happening right now in the creator economy. First, micro creators are outperforming macro influencers. And I want you to take all of these in and let it soak. Because the fact is that your process as a brand or agency, they change drastically based on how value is defined for your program KPIs. Secondly, content matters more than audience size, as we just mentioned. And third, creator programs are now powering the commerce ecosystems. This is the key idea that creator programs are no longer campaigns, they're a content infrastructure. So as you can see, there's two layers here. There's the content layer, which is the discovery, the storytelling, the education. And secondly, it's the commerce layer, which is the affiliate sales, the TTS, the TikTok shop conversion, turning that content into measurable transactions. And the strongest programs that you're building at your brand or agency are supporting both layers simultaneously. As you can see from this slide here. Sorry, I'm a little bit behind on the slides. Let's take a look at a case study to bring this to life a little bit. So here's a quick example of a campaign that 456 Growth Media ran in the past. We worked with 80 creators. We generated over 40 million impressions, not just in 30 days. That was over an average of a 60 to 90 day window. And we saw a 140% increase in revenue in a single week, right? Now, the most important thing that happened after this program is that even as the physical posting slowed down, the revenue continued to grow because the creator content doesn't expire in the discovery algorithm when the post does. It continues to drive results well over time. And this program was focused on primarily TikTok content and IG Reels. So it was that short form video with a layer of paid media meta retargeting. As you can see, the blended CPM was around $6.25, and the blended impressions were about 40 million. The influencer activity did peak in week 5, but online revenue kept compounding for week 6 to 8 as CPMs dropped and conversions continued to funnel in on the long tail. Now, content really is the new currency. This leads to one of the biggest mindset shifts for brands. You don't need one influencer post anymore. You need a high volume of content. And that's drastically different from old performance-driven influencer marketing programs. In most programs, we're generating well over 100 to sometimes 1,000 creator videos per cycle. And those assets power everything. The organic social, the paid ads, Amazon PDPs, as was mentioned in the chat, and brand content libraries. And creator marketing is not just media spend, it's the content engine. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of the presentation. Let's break down the flywheel, the creator commerce flywheel, as you call it. A lot of these steps are steps that you've historically taken as a brand or agency, but step 1 is seeding creators at scale. Step 2 is identifying top performers. Step 3 is amplifying winning content through paid social. And step 4 is driving cross-channel commerce activity. And then the cycle repeats, it compounds, it accelerates, and the repetition is what creates that compounding growth. We're going to break down each individual section of the flywheel now moving forward. Let's start with step 1, creator seeding. It's the foundation of it all. Most brands underestimate this step. We typically seed at 456 Growth between a minimum of 50 and upwards of 500 plus product seedings per campaign per month per brand, because the goal is not just exposure, it's what we call testing. Testing messaging, testing creators, and testing content angles. Seeding is not awareness work. It's creative research and development. That's really important. Creative R&D. You can see here some of the segmentation of the value of a seeding program. Now, how do we seed and who do we seed to, right? And this may not be new information for some of you, but we build our programs around 3 core creator types mapped in 3 funnel stages. Top of funnel, middle of the funnel, and bottom of the funnel. And each type of creator, we'll just say air quote creator, right, are used for a different purpose. Top of funnel, experts and thought leaders, right? Trusted that close the trust gap and build credibility. It fuels your paid media strategy. Examples: Ben Greenfield, Eric Hinman, in the health and wellness categories. Fewer and far between thought leaders, but they're very credible creators and influencers. Mid-funnel creators that are driving consideration. This is where the influencer marketing world began. Reality TV stars, influencers, personalities, ones that are driving consideration because they're recognizable, they're relatable, their audiences are aligned, and they build brand familiarity over time. And lastly, where we've seen the largest growth acceleration, the BOF creator, right? Not a negative concept, but the bottom of the funnel, the social sellers, the TikTok shop creators, the affiliate creators, the scroll stoppers, the ones riding the discovery algorithm and converting demand directly into transactions. That credibility first is the approach and performance second. Each role of creator is different. Each should be measured differently. Now, when identifying creators, top creators, we focus on key signals, engagement rate, watch time, saves, comments, conversion signals. And we use those data signals to indicate performance. And from there, top creators are developed into long-term partners. So here's an example of a typical campaign, right? It might be 75 creators, 150 videos, average 5 to 10 million impressions. The top 10 to 15 creators are going to get promoted into paid partnerships. The rest are going to continue to drive organic discovery. And that model allows for brands to discover unexpected breakout creators. We're all searching for, what I call the diamond in the rough. And as you can see here, we just identifying the winners. There are a lot of different ways to do that, right? But ultimately, we're trying to build long-term creator relationships with diverse creator infrastructure. Now, ROAS expectations. One of the biggest mistakes brands make is applying the same ROI or ROAS expectations across all creators between top of funnel and bottom of the funnel. The fact is that they're not all the same and they all shouldn't have the same ROAS or ROI KPIs. We typically tend to look at thought leaders with an expected ROAS of a 1x, right? They're able to build trust and credibility, fuel paid media, yada, yada. The middle of the funnel creators are going to, again, build that trust, drive consideration, and a little bit of a higher of a ROAS of a 2 to 3x. And then we're really looking for the largest ROAS coming from the bottom of the funnels, the direct conversion social sellers, the quantity drivers, right? The algorithm riders, the 3x ROAS target, which drives the immediate GMV and affiliate performance. Again, each play a role in the system, and smart media buyers ask two questions. What's the best content for paid distribution? So which creators will generate assets that scale in high-performing paid media? I think a lot of us have seen surprising data that we don't have to work with MOF or top creators that cost a lot of money to drive success. We can spend less money on bottom of the funnel creators and drive even a higher return. And secondly, organic signals that translate into paid media performance. What are the organic signals and trend lines that are amplifying what's already working in the paid capacity? So the funnel stages stay the same, but the creator type at each stage informs your paid strategy. This is something we're really focused on at 456 Growth Talent, our sister agency that does 360 creator representation, representing commerce driving creators. Is how do creators migrate from BOF creators, bottom of the funnel, to MOF to top, right? And that's happening faster than ever before. As you can see here, right, watching that evolution unfold is one of the most fascinating dynamics in the creator economy. And not only from the growth trajectory of a creator evolution, but also about how brands are actually able to build relationships on a very minimal transactional relationship and migrate those into becoming core driving relationships at different stages with different credibility layers. Step number 3, right, is to amplify your winning content in the flywheel. Once you identify that winning content, you amplify it. And that means turning those organic posts, whether it's Spark ads in TikTok Shop or Meta ads or Amazon Creative or connected TV assets and brand assets. And we all know this, creator content is consistently outperforming traditional brand content because it feels native to the platform. This approach leads to significant efficiency gains. More creator content per dollar, lower CPMs, and stronger conversion performance because you're scaling what's already proven to work. So some stats here, right? That 3 to 10x more content per dollar, 20-40% more paid media CPM reduction and more creators needed, and that creators' videos can also drive that search lift on Amazon retail channels and DTC. The most important impact of this revolving flywheel, the halo effect. We all talk about it. We say, how do we evaluate it? How do we create attribution? And the most misunderstood part of this entire system is the halo effect, and how, specifically in my point of the conversation, is how TikTok content is driving demand across other platforms. And we're seeing, as we mentioned, increase in Amazon search. We're seeing an improvement in retail performance, sales velocity, enhancing paid media results. That TikTok and TikTok Shop content is creating demand, and we're seeing other channels capture it, right? There's proven studies by TikTok and even Amazon that Amazon wins on loyalty, that people still trust Amazon as the most, trustworthy consumer purchase channel. That Prime has a Prime button has a trust factor, right? That customers discover via TikTok will convert and retain on Amazon. But TikTok Shop is winning on discovery. It's the first time in my history of my career that I've seen a platform so powerful for algorithmic distribution, and how it's surfacing new products to new audiences and driving exposure and discovery, right? Smart brands are using both. They're using the TikTok to find customers and Amazon to keep them, or DTC to keep them, or retail to keep them. The real value is not in the initial post, it is in the ripple effect across multiple channels. Now, most brands ask a simple question: is TikTok Shop profitable on its own? That's the wrong question to ask. The real question is what TikTok Shop unlocks as far as value KPIs. It's discovery engine. It's a creator marketplace. It's a content production system. It's the price to enter the market. The value goes far beyond in-platform sales. Now, what flows out of TikTok Shop? You can see it as we discussed in earlier slides. Amazon search volume, stronger converting paid ads, brand awareness that compounds over time. Now, is TikTok Shop profitable? Who knows? But is it unlocking value across the entire ecosystem? Absolutely. And so some key takeaways to wrap up the flywheel. Creator programs are content infrastructure. You need to measure that halo, not just last click attribution. You need to match creators to the funnel. And most importantly, TikTok finds the customer and Amazon keeps them. We're all trying to build as the industry changes. We're rebuilding our creator CRMs. We're educating and we're shrinking that knowledge gap, right, between creator and brand, or agency and brand, or agency and creator. We're introducing professional business practices, contracts, accounting, payment systems. We're moving away from traditional discovery and creator tools. You won't shout names, right? And we're looking at modern builders that are building discovery based off of layered data, engagement, less about audience breakdown, more about brand alignment. AI is driving meta tags, music. It's all driving discoverable creator alignment. And we're trying to figure out where those creators fit in our traditional influencer programs and how they fuel what we've spent years building. And I think it is a very interesting time. I think it's very opportunistic to look at TikTok for what it is at the current moment, and that value might change drastically and quickly. But those brands and agencies and operators that harness what the value is at the current moment are going to be able to continue to drive ahead of the competition and set up for the next platform or content vehicle that might be on the horizon. I think I finished my presentation a little bit early, but we'll have enough time to ask some questions and move on to the next part of the presentation.
Absolutely. Dan, thank you so much. I feel like the biggest takeaway for me, and I hope everyone here, is that reframe. Creator content is not, a one and done post. It's literally the raw material for everything else. And especially love the flywheel concept, because it gives you like a system. So you're not just hoping that a creator goes viral. You're seeding, you're identifying the winners and amplifying what's already working, and then watching it compound across channels. So thank you so much for sharing that. I think we can get into audience questions now. The first one, also we had a couple of folks share their questions when they were signing up for the webinar, so we'll pick those. Yeah, so I think we have Andrea somewhere in the audience. Hi, Andrea. And a question from Rachel as well. And I just want to combine the two. I think they're on similar lines. So the first question for you, Dan, is once a brand has seeded product to creators, what can you do to support them and get them to actually post and perform, especially on TikTok Shop? And I think that's what Andrea wanted to know, especially on TikTok Shop, beyond just running ads behind it. What does that relationship and support look like when there's no paycheck involved?
Yeah, awesome. Well, first off, nice to see you, Andrea. Thanks for coming. We work with Andrea, and she's a great partner with a really fast growing brand on TikTok Shop and beyond on Amazon. I personally use their products, and I've enjoyed them as well. Shameless plug for Plantificy. And so, like, what can brands do to support creators' performance on TikTok Shop and besides ads? I mean, and how do we accelerate creator posting if we commit to product seeding, which is one of the biggest challenges this industry faces? First off, I will say every brand looks at product seeding as a line item expense on a P&L, right? And so many individuals have evaluated, right, profit and loss based on how much it costs me, right, to activate. Even if you're not paying creators, you're fronting costs for product that could be sold in commerce ecosystems. And at 456, we often evaluate algorithmic data that says, for example, like how many videos are we getting for every product seeded, right? And hopefully those videos are quality, right, in addition to quantity. But when you start to, scale, right, the number of pieces of content vehicles, you leverage your chances of seeing a stronger ROI for the cost of product seeding. Now, the biggest thing brands need to do is stop thinking like advertisers, which I know is hard to do, and start thinking like a creator partner. These are real people, and they are different than influencers. The highest performing brands on TikTok Shop are usually the ones that make creators feel like insiders, not vendors. Now, if we do a few things consistently, we'll see some positive KPI signals. Number one, which is why communities have really built up with coaching. If we give creators education on the product and the positioning, we're going to see stronger success KPIs. If we share hooks and messaging angles of successful content, we'll see better content. If we provide our core premium insiders with early access to launches, or we create transparency in performance data and we communicate quickly and we create feedback loops, they're going to perform better as creator partners. If those creators then also understand why a product is converting, or who the audience is, or what the objections that exist, and what content formats, right, are winning, then the second thing is going to be operational support, which everybody struggles with, specifically in this large quantity ecosystem. Samples arrive late, right? Thank you, fulfillment by Amazon or TikTok fulfillment, or some drastic storm that threw off the sample delivery. Inventory goes into stock because you had no predictions and projections that you were going to sell off a product. Commission structures change because you need to evaluate your P&L, and then communication disappears on the onboarding. TikTok Shop's moving so fast, right, that creators need speed, consistency, and they also need a really important element, which is confidence. Because if they feel confident and supported, and the community matters, right, then they're going to deliver. They're going to feel more connected, more supported, and they're going to push harder for the brand. And so, like, I know that's easier said than done, right? But I run a service-based agency. I believe in tech, but relationships are the drivers of activity, and every relationship takes work, and relationships need to be managed by people first. So I hope that answers the question. And great question, Andrea. Thanks for joining.
Absolutely. I think we covered a lot of bases there, especially the crux of it, which is relationship with actual human beings. These are not just bots on the screen. These are actual people. So relationship at the core of it. Correct. Absolutely. I think we have one from Eric. What percentage of budget should go to TikTok Shop Flywheel if Meta is already so profitable and scalable? The budget question.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting conversation, and I'm just gonna like let the wall down here and tell you what I've seen, right? We're an agency that supports brands and we're a creative management company. 2 years ago, when we became a TikTok Shop certified agency, we became what they call a CAP management company. And we represent over 300 plus TikTok Shop social sellers driving compounded GMV of roughly between 2.5 to 3.5 million a month for shops and product SKUs. We track the data, we understand it. And that's just not the only place they're driving success KPIs and GMV. It was a pure affiliate landscape 2 years ago. A year ago, it was heavily commission based. Now we've seen the market change, and now the top social sellers are now commanding flat fee dollars or hybrid deal structures. And so before, where you could pay speculatively, now you have to earmark some creator budget for TikTok on top of like your paid media budgets for GMV Max or Spark ads and whatnot. But rest assured, brands and agencies out there, your pockets are still secured because the pricing is still controlled. And these creators are still micro creators with smaller followers and growth hacking the algorithm, that you can make a mountain out of a molehill. And that even with a budget of between, let's just say, 10,000 to 50,000, you can make a massive impact and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars of GMV across your ecosystem. And so if I were to break it up from like a pie chart of what percentage of your budget should go to TikTok Shop, I'm going to be bullish here. I'm going to say, if you're not investing at least 40% of your budget in TikTok Shop right now, you're going to lose big time. And there was a question, right? And I really don't want to necessarily like jump the gun here, Michigan, but like the thing is that like there was a premeditated question from Mason at Ridge. Maybe you want to move into that, because I think this is going to tell a story about why the investment in TikTok Shop is going to turn 10x fold back because of the omni-channel value that's going to come down the line, which I would love to shift to if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah, let's go for it. I'll just read out the question that we had from Mason, which was, we have an affiliate program starting with TikTok Shop. How do we expand affiliates to other platforms? Go for it, Darren.
Yeah, good question. Look, we're a management company and a brand agency. We get thousands and thousands of inbound emails a week. And the one thing we recognized about 12 months ago is that the big affiliate and social commerce platforms like LTK and ShopMy and Walmart Creator and Mavely, they understand they can't grow off of old blood, off of just macro influencers. And they recognize the rapid rising tide of these social sellers early on that are crushing TikTok Shop GMV, whether they're sustainable or not. And so one of the biggest shifts happening right now is that those platforms themselves already recognize that the future of commerce is creator-led and multi-platform. And all of those platforms understand that TikTok Shop creators are becoming the next generation of high-performing commerce affiliates, just like 456 Growth Talent, which is why we've segmented our roster to service every brand, whether it's Amazon, UGC, TikTok Shop, YouTube Shopping, whatever it may be, right? And they're already putting in the work to onboard these creators and educate them and activate them or reactivate them and make that expansion process easier for brands than ever before. Now, the mistake I see brands make in monetizing is that they're too siloed. When you run a TikTok Shop offer and only focused on giving, let's say, 100 hours in a TikTok Shop commission rate, the mistake is that brands they'll run a TikTok Shop offer only focused on TikTok Shop commission, but creators today are building businesses. They're not just posting videos. And so the best creators are already thinking about how to grow their channels and omni-channelize and diversify their monetization. So they're trying to get active on Amazon storefront or LTK or ShopMy or YouTube Shorts or paid media or retail licensing. And so brands should start structuring their deals agnostic of where you're entering with a layered approach of monetization mindset. For example, Why don't you go to a TikTok shop creator and say, I'll give you $100, a 10% organic commission rate, and a 5% boosted commission rate. But I also know that I'm a really strong Amazon brand, and I'm also on LTK. Let me tell you I'm strong there. And let me incentivize you by offering you additional 10% for Amazon sales, 15% for LTK sales, show you where I'm living, where we're strong, give you the path to make more money as a creator, and to incentivize you to make more than one TikTok shop video, and to look at a broader content ecosystem around your product across multiple channels. And that, bringing it back to the flywheel, right? That's where the real flywheel starts happening, right? Because then what happens is a creator might discover your product on TikTok shop, and then they might drive a halo search impact on Amazon. They might create passive conversion on LTK. They might push long tail SEO through YouTube Shorts, and they might continue monetizing through those channels for months later. And that's diversification. You should absolutely be leaning into these strategies to create longer buy-in. So just like brands are migrating, creators are also migrating. Then I can confidently say that I believe that at least 50% of just TikTok shop social sellers will be the next generation of affiliate or even commerce driving creators in traditional channels in the next 24 to 36 months.
Yeah, absolutely. I think thank you so much for being candid there. I hope that answers the question for Eric, and I know Mason's not here, but one more question that we had from one of the signups is that how, I think you touched upon this a little bit, Dan, but if you want to go a little deeper into it. But Anna from RAB Equipment asked how best to keep the momentum up with creators with a small team of limited resources. What's the best action plan that is sustainable? I think that is a question that a lot of folks might have. So if we could go a little deeper into how to deal with this with limited resources.
Yeah, for sure. That's good. It's a great question. Thank you, Anna. Appreciate that question. I think there's a couple layers to this, right? You know, TikTok Shop is social commerce, and a lot of brands and agencies are trying to build that service solution. They're trying to migrate team members to own this silo and understand where it fits in, right, within the greater scheme of what they've been doing for the past 5, 10, 15 years. The professionals don't truly exist, right? They're only about 2 to 3 years old, the top ones, and most people are under 12 to 16 months in this world. And it's honestly one of the most important questions because most brands do not have massive internal teams dedicated to creator commerce, right? And the reality of the situation is that if we just talk about TikTok Shop, it moves incredibly fast, right? The trends are shifting weekly, creator rosters are evolving daily, new products are breaking overnight, and consumer behavior changes constantly, right? So the biggest unlock here is moving from a campaign mindset to a systems mindset. And a lot of brands, they're going to burn out because they try and manually manage everything from creator sourcing, outreach, onboarding, reporting, negotiation, sample seeding, content approvals, and then relationship management internally. And that becomes extremely difficult to sustain with the lean team. Instead, I think brands should focus on building systems, repeatable systems, right? That standardize the onboarding and create creator segmentation and automate reporting and evergreen briefs and whatnot. That you might not necessarily need 1,000 creators. I would encourage it, but you do need a core group of consistent performers and a testing pipeline. And honestly, like, why not? A little shameless plug here. This is also where agencies can also create a lot of value, especially earlier growth stages. I mean, it's not, agency solutions are not necessarily forever decisions, but in a market moving very quickly, speed to market matters a lot, right? And the brands that are winning right now are usually the ones that are moving faster, they're testing faster, they're onboarding faster, they're analyzing, adapting faster, right? And a good agency can compress years of learning curves, or in this case, months of learning curves, because they already have those creative relationships and they understand the systems, they know how things work, they have the reporting systems, and they create scalable workflows in place. Now, in a hyper-competitive marketplace like TikTok Shop, execution can mean delayed execution can mean missing entire trend cycles or product breakout windows, right? And so even if a brand eventually brings things in-house, agencies can often help accelerate, right, the early momentum or the creative relationship building, the content velocity. So at the end of the day, The sustainability comes from building, to bring it full circle, that repeatable flywheel that's not relying on one-off viral moments, but instead systems and compounded results. And so don't be ashamed, right, to like reach out to somebody who's in it. I was in the IG story days early, right, and we really scaled that quickly. One of the hardest things that prevented brands from being able to grow was there was no platform out there that gave you didn't know which creators were posting story. Number one, you didn't know what their impressions were because there was no system that showed that to you that was first party. Then you didn't know what the link clicks were, so you couldn't create these e-commerce conversion formulas to understand, like, could I invest $1,000 and see like a $5,000 ROI? And so the agencies were the individuals that own that proprietary data, were the ones that were allowed to that were the valuable partner because they could scale you quicker. Otherwise, you're reaching out one by one to creators saying, send me a screenshot. Oh, what link clicks do you get? You need to trust them. And that still happens in today's world, which is a problem because the entire ecosystem is totally different, right? Out with the old, in with the new. This is exciting times, people. A lot of opportunity, a lot of risk, but a lot of reward. So really good question. Thank you. Thanks for that question.
Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. We have a new one from Kara. Another 5 minutes, folks. So if you just want to ask your questions, now is the time. We'll pick this one up first. What are some of the best ways you have seen AI used to help facilitate managing an efficient creator commerce system? Any use case of AI that you're maybe operating with internally at 456 Growth then?
Yeah, I mean, I think AI is the buzzword on top of everybody, right? And I don't want to be the antagonist of AI, right? As a service-based agency, even in the tech world, right, I still am going to say again, relationships are the drivers of success. That AI can help cut down on some of that manual, low-level task workflow and can automate some of those processes that are manual, but it's never going to necessarily be the complete driver of a commerce flywheel. And so at 456, what are we doing, right? From a tech stack integration and from a proprietary tech standpoint is probably what most companies are doing, not just in the creator economy, right? We're looking at AI and trying to decide how we create agents to do a few things. One is, as a performance and data-driven agency, quickly use AI to scan our infrastructure, to evaluate our data, our trends, to look at layered data as a business intelligence signal in different ways than how it's being provided to us, either from like a Shopify or from a TikTok shop backend, right? Like, like, like user interface and report functionality is like crucial step for AI. Number two is some people are using it if you're a creator or a brand to automate outreach, right? To identify based on data trends or based on like how do I source emails and whatnot. But let's be real here. We live in a communication overload system in the world. Text message, I'm on WhatsApp, Lark, emails, thousands of communications a day. You just want to shut your brain off at the end of the day and say, it's enough, right? And so 75% of individuals are just not looking at emails or responding to emails. They might not even seeing it. So if AI amplifies the communication outreach, is the problem going to get better? I don't think so. I think it's going to get worse, right? It's going to create more volume. Lastly, how are we using AI to increase our systems and processes, right? We look at it like as a segmented business flow stuff. So like, how can you use AI to maybe create contracts faster, right? Or how can you use it to more importantly, like discover creators? I think like the companies out there using AI layering to discover creators based off of like ingestion of video content and text and audio and whatnot are going to win. I don't want to go and be like, hey, show me people with followers who are mainly female, US, X age. If you're doing that strategy, like you're doing it wrong and you're going to lose. Like now today is finding creators based on AI search, and there are so many tech platforms out there that are building that to make that process faster. And if you can discover creators of value before your competitors do, you have a chance to own that relationship. If you own it right, you're gonna win. So it's a great question. It's on our mind. It's a little overwhelming, I think, but we're doing our best to figure out how to slowly integrate it to make things at least 15% more efficient at our agency and for our brand clients and our creator clients.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kara, for that question. On finding influencers, I think I missed one from Jean earlier on. what is the best way for discoverability now? We were just discussing this before we started the webinar. So Dan, any thoughts on best ways of discoverability of influencers right now?
Yeah, I mean, thanks for joining, Gene. It's great to have you here. Hope you're well. The discovery of creators is like, it's really a personal approach. I mean, we still have people in our team who are like, I'm going to go to the For You page, right? And like, I have my manual process of finding creators, and that works, right? But it takes bandwidth. It's a time tax. As I mentioned, right? We're not discovering creators based on the old, either public API or third-party data points, which is based on followers and genetic makeup. We're doing it based off of engagement rate, right? Impressions, CPMs. We're doing it based off of comments, shares, like. We're doing it off of customer sentiment, right? If you're not looking at an AI tool to evaluate content feedback cycles and loops, like what are people saying in the comments, what is like, and how do we better our product or a service solution, then you're failing already. There's so much value in social commerce and influencer and finding creators more than just conversion. The consumer feedback is such a value driver that will return in dollars and cents. And so this is why traditional ad dollars are being redeployed into performance-driven influencer and social commerce. And so again, AI layer discovery, right? You want to find people to promote a target launch, right? Use tools to look for, mothers that are in target, or to talk about like target products, right? Scan the comments to make sure that consumers are actually like, oh, well, I didn't know they had this at Target. I'm going to check it out, right? Blend these metrics that are more than just quantitative metrics and focus mainly on qualitative, and then use the quantitative metrics, which is the performance results after testing, to drive right your strategy with how you compensate, or which content vehicles or social platforms are really working in that flywheel impact. So it's not straightforward, but we're in a great generation of the creator economy, and that's that the economy is flooded with pop-up creators. Some will die and become extinct. Others will survive, and then this is a chance to basically rebuild your program and your drivers over the next 5 years. So harness that, and best of luck.
Absolutely. I think we're just about to wrap up, but we have one last question from Kara. So, how do new TikTok shops with no sales begin to make relationships with creators and convince them to work with you? Any thoughts on that? And I guess this is the last question we'll pick up.
Yeah, it's a really good question, right? And again, shameless plug, but at our agency, we've figured out ways to plug in with brands agnostic of whether you have an AOR, whether you're running it in-house, whether you're a cold start brand on Shop, or whether you're one that's already driving GMV and seeing success, or you've stalwarted on performance. And what I'm going to say is the following, right? TikTok Shop is its own system, right? Shop management, right? Shop scores, customer service, shipping times, all of those things impact, right? Your traffic to your shop and your sales velocity. And then you layer that with content funnel and impressions and whatnot, and that impacts. If you're a cold start brand, if you're L'Oreal, the strategy might be a little bit different than if you're an Amazon brand doing $10 million ARR and net new on TikTok Shop. But what I would say is a couple of things. You definitely want to start with seeding to build creator loyalty with your product and familiarity. Number two is invest, making sure you have the right products listed, making sure you have the right product packages and price points and offers listed are definitely crucial in success. But you want to start that flywheel of creator content and GMV conversion, because top creators aren't going to migrate unless they see others showing signs of success, and it all plays in. Should you do a consolidated and centric, like, oh, let me invest 10,000 and work with like 5 creators or 10 creators? The answer is probably no. Are you a strong powerhouse on Amazon trying to migrate to TikTok? You have to rank your KPI. And I often ask brands like a simple question: rank these top 3 KPIs in priority. You want the channel to be profitable from day one, $1. You want to focus on how to leverage TikTok Shop to get very low CPMs. And lastly, do you want it to be the content funnel for your paid media pixel on Meta or TikTok Shop? Depending on what a brand says, that really determines the strategy. Because there are brands that are happy with not making TikTok Shop profitable because they know that it's going to have a halo impact and fuel their paid social channels, and others that say, you know what, like I have to validate to superiors that investment in capital and marketing budgets on this channel, it needs to show GMV, even though GMV is not a successful KPI showing profitability. It's a phantom number, right? Operations determine net profit. So yeah, I think it's different, right? But you can be a product that's already seeing success, like a Korean skincare product that's already out there. And I did a case study recently using some data points about the competitor symbiosis of Korean skincare brands and products. And I think the algorithm is primed right now that even if you had a product listed and you weren't active on TikTok Shop and a competitor launched the same product months later, that the earlier listed product company will see passive residual benefits of a competitor investing time, money in activity on TikTok Shop. And so just being there and being present, you're automatically going to win. And I would suggest just figuring out how to do that, right, in some shape or form or capacity. Great question. Thank you, Kara.
Yeah, thank you, Kara. I think we're just right on time. And for everyone who stayed back, we have a very interesting offer from Dan. He was kind enough to share 5 slots for anyone who wants to just book and get a free consultation from him. So just grab the screenshot and scan this QR and book a slot with Dan. Thank you so much. And I think, yeah, we're just going to stay here for a couple of seconds so people can... yes, maybe Jean, I think, if Dan is willing to do that. Yeah, I think one last thing from the Saral team, which is a free tool where you can just put in your inputs and see exactly where your influencer creator program might be leaking. So just try it out, scan this QR. We'll also send it over to you after the webinar. But yeah, thank you so much, Dan. I think this was super insightful. I'm sure a lot of people have taken a lot of notes, and everybody